I did not feel like going to work today. Can I tell you guys about my day yesterday? So yesterday was my Monday. And I got my, did I have 5 patients? 35, 36, 37. Yeah, I had 5 patients yesterday. And since I was in this part of the hospital called the annex, I started with my patients in the annex. And I had a beautiful patient. Female. I think she was 66. How old was she? She's born in 59. Matter of fact, her birthday, I know it by heart. June 19th, 1959. Beautiful lady in the face. And when I got in there, she was talking like, she wasn't talking like I'm talking. Like her voice wasn't clear. But she did tell me she was kicking it. And I just brushed it off because she was kicking the sheets and stuff off of her. And I kept trying to cover up because I was like, you showing your goodies. You know, people gotta pay for that. You don't show your goodies. So I was just covering her up, just ignoring her. But when I pulled the sheet down off her arms, then I realized, what was going on. Man, she had so much hair on her arms. In the system, it said she was Asian, but the tech was talking to her in Spanish, like fluently Spanish, which that doesn't mean anything, right? You can be bilingual. But this is all stuff I put together after the fact. While I'm there taking care of her, I'm just like, okay, she high. So she don't understand what she's saying to me. So this was about, I started passing meds about a little bit after 8, about 8:15 or so, because I wanted to get all my little fluff charting out the way. So I went and pulled her meds. She was laying back in the bed. And so I had to sit up because she had PO meds that I needed to give her. And Lord knows, about to choke on me. So I'll sit them patients all the way up. But she was telling me, no, lay her back because she got an abscess on her back that hurt. She don't want the bus. And I was like, ma'am, if you have an abscess on your back, busting is a good thing because we get that bacteria out of it, But nevertheless, I said, okay, I'll lay you back down, but I need you to sit up to take these meds. I don't want you choking on me. So she took her med. I started on her antibiotics. Her WBC when I got there was 41.2. The techs had gone around and collected their blood. So by the time I was passing meds, her WBC was 51.2. And what's the normal range for WBCs? I think some books say 4 to 10, some books say 4 to 12. Anywhere it go, we know 51 is too much. But mind you, this lady doing all this, fidgety, moving, talking, shooting the breeze, Although you can't understand everything she's saying, she was still alert. When I asked her A&O questions, she knew everything except the month. She knew who the president was, her name, her date of birth, where she was, what was going on. So when she told me she was kicking it, I later found out kicking it means she was withdrawing. So she was kicking the drugs. That's what that meant. But see, she was literally kicking all the sheets and stuff off of her. At the time, I didn't put two and two together. I did notice when I saw her arms that she was a user. But I still, y'all, I'm slow. I wasn't putting it together, right? So I don't gave her med. She didn't want to eat. She asked me to lay her back down. I laid her back down. She asked me to cut the lights out. Cut the lights out. I'm on to the next, right? So, but this time I don't did tempo, the meeting we have to update management, the status of our patients. I don't took care. This is room 40. I don't took care of room 40, 37. Now I'm at room 36. Well, the infectious disease control comes out and asks me, was that my patient? I said, yes. And he said, she's not looking good. And so I go down there. I say, well, she was fine this morning. I mean, she was chit-chatting and giving out orders and talking. And so we went in there, and she was laid back and, out of it. She had been, when I got there, she was, knocked out and just fidgety in the bed. But she was, I said, well, she don't look too much different than how she looked this morning, You can stimulate her. So I went in there, I started saying, Miss So-and-so, you good, mama? And she started, doing that talking that sometimes some words you can understand, some words you couldn't. Nevertheless, I said, let me get some vitals on her. Well, I couldn't get a digital vital on her. I couldn't get a vital with the machine or on the monitor. So I went and got my ears, and I tried to get one manually. Y'all, I ain't did no manual blood pressure since school. Couldn't get it done. So this one nurse in the hallway called Dimples. I said, Dimples, can you come help me? So she said, yeah. I said, are you good with manual blood pressure? She said, yeah. Well, she tried to get one, and she couldn't get one. So this time I hit the button on the back of the wall and said, I need some nurses, staff assistants. At the time I'm hitting let me rewind. When I was getting her blood pressure, she kept doing her arm like this and stuff. So I was thinking I couldn't get it because she was moving her arm. I say, Mom, I need you to be still because I need to get a blood pressure on you. She was like, I need some water. I say, I'll get you some water, but I need to get your blood pressure first. That's important. And so nevertheless, I couldn't get it. So that's when I went to the hallway to get the other nurse. Well, the other nurse comes in there and she couldn't get a blood pressure. So the monitor on the wall couldn't do it. The little dolly that the techs use couldn't get it. So at this point, I called for assistance. So, the whole floor hears that I need assistance. Well, as I'm doing that, she goes, and I couldn't see that tongue. Girl, I got on the walkie-talkie. I said, Veronica, please call a rapid. Veronica, please call a rapid. So everybody come, they bring the crash cart, glucometer, and all this type of stuff. So we try to get a blood pressure. Nobody can get a blood pressure. The ICU respiratory guy comes. At this point, nobody can even get a pulse on her, Man, this messed me up so much, y'all. My patient expired yesterday, right? So the whole time we're in there, everybody in there, they're like, she going to heaven. Respiratory day. She going to heaven. She on her way to heaven. I still can't get used to this conversation that the nurses and staff members have when a patient is expiring. First of all, this is my first patient that ever expired on me. I've had patients where I've had to call a rapid, where I've had to call a cold, where I had to do compressions, where I was the timekeeper. But this is my first patient in the 2 years I've been a nurse where I lost my patient. And mind you, this lady was beautiful neck up. Beautiful, beautiful, thick colored hair, like gray, blonde. Beautiful, beautiful skin. Oh my God, beautiful. Messed me up, y'all. Messed me up. Messed me up. I'm telling you, messed me up. And when she, I'm like, are we gonna give her something? Cause when they down and they go, oh, oh. I'm like, are we gonna give them something? Plus, isn't that what they do in hospice to just mellow them out? And they was like, no, she going. She. So I went and asked the nurse practitioner that was her hospitalist, what we gonna do? Just gonna, let it expire? How does all this work? I don't know. I didn't know. Like, honestly, I did not know. And so she told me to bolus her some normal saline, and she put in an order for some hydrocodone. I'm thinking to myself, what's the fluids gonna do? That's not gonna give her a pulse. May raise her blood pressure, right? Could be putting more fluid in circulation. And to this day, I haven't looked it up what the cortisone was going to do. Hydrocortisone, what was that going to do? That's a steroid. Reduce the inflammation. Now that I'm doing this video, I need to think about that. Oh, so I tried to get in touch with her son, which was next of kin on her in the system. The phone didn't go through. It said something about couldn't take phone. I don't know. So the doctor was able to get in touch with her brother. Her brother got up there. Oh my God. Y'all, I'm emotional, right? You've heard me say this before. I'm an emotional wreck. Her brother was in there. It was a beautiful prayer, but it was like a speech, because he was saying how, almost, he didn't say when you go beyond the veil, but pretty much like once you pass away and you're in this beautiful field and the flowers and the birds and the sound. He was, it was more like that than a prayer. And I stood there. And when I tell you, I'm trying not to cry, so you hold your head back like this so the tears won't come down. But baby, I was a mess. I was a mess and trying to hold it together, because one thing we learned in the military is that you don't cry in your uniform. Y'all, I was a mess. I was a mess, and I got to thinking about my child and just life in general, Y'all, when we sick, and we can judge and we can be hard. And we can, well, I don't do this and I don't do that, but I think for the most part, people are good people. And we go through stuff and we just don't know how to deal with it. And some reach for shopping, some reach for sex, some reach for candy, some reach for drugs. And it's a hurtful feeling when you're supposed to be there and to help other people, strangers, and you can't help your own child. That's a hurtful feeling. I remember when Deucey Doo got sick and KP called me, and I was on the floor, and my charge was like, you about to leave now? No, I'm lying. He asked me if I can do something for a patient before I left. And I said, absolutely not. I'm going to see my grandchild, How do you help other people, but you can't help your own? How is that possible? Like, Well, in my case, I couldn't even help my patient yesterday. My patient expired. Y'all, she went down like, say for example, it was 9:30. She asking for water. She kick in and let's say 9:30 in 5 seconds, right? That lady's condition changed at 9:30 and 5 seconds. By 9:30 and 15 seconds, she was going down, like a matter of seconds. You hear me? I don't even want to go to work today. You know, and this how life goes too. Baby, you know, they was coming up on the floor, so the brother was asking me if I can call the chaplain back in so they can pray, because they was afraid we was going to put them out the room. And I said, absolutely not. I don't even know the policy, okay? I don't even know the policy, okay? But I was like, absolutely not. Nobody's about to put you out the room. Now, I get the chaplain for you, but nobody's about to put you out the room. You can grieve as long as you need to grieve over your loved one. And so I went and talk to my charge. I say, you know, how long do you guys give the loved ones time to grieve in the room? He said, you know, they can stand there and grieve, but you know, we got to figure out what they want to do with the body, and you know, if they don't have a place, we can use, you know, the local place we use, and blah blah. I say, well, I told them he can stand there. I get off at 7. He surely can stand there my whole shift, you know. Well, you know, we need to see what, you know, what the census is looking like, and this regular piece of hospital, nothing works in here. If you don't get somewhere and sit down, Pillsbury Doughboy, oh my God. And then here come House talking to me. Well, do you know how much longer they're going to be? I say, look, I don't told the loved ones that they can stand there till I get off my shift. Now, if y'all want to change it and say something different, y'all go in there and tell them, because I'm not telling them. I'm not going back in their room interrupting them people from grieving. The son, when he finally got there, the whole time, every time I went in there, he was like this. I asked his wife, I said, can I touch his shoulder? She said, yeah. And I rubbed him on his shoulder, and I said, baby, there's anything I can do for you? And he said, no. Like, really just leave him alone. And so the daughter-in-law, his wife, came out and she talked to me, and she was, you know, going through, and she was like, you know, we don't know her. We never let our grandkids know her. So they came up there with their grandkids. They sent their grandkids somewhere, but their grandkids wasn't in the room. The son and his wife and his kids, they didn't know her. They decided to separate themselves from her because she was a drug user. Then the other little girl that was charging yesterday, she comes down there after I explained to them what's going on. Y'all, this family need time in this room. Well, you know, well, that's just a decision she made. She chose drugs over her family. So, you know, I understand. Y'all, when I tell you yesterday was rough, if I had said what I wanted to say on the floor yesterday, I would have got fired on the spot. And yep, I got a couple of dollars saved up in my emergency fund, right? I spent some of it because I had to get my house redone in McKinney. So don't have as much as I should. But I still think I got at least about 6 months of savings, right? I got the bare minimum of savings. And I had to rationalize. Saying, you ain't got no backup plan, baby. You ain't got no husband. You ain't got nobody you can fall back on. Saying you the A plan, the B plan, the C plan. You know, don't get me wrong. I know my oldest son will look out for me if I needed him to. But my kids would tell you, I don't ask them for nothing. Even when they volunteer, I'd be like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. You know, William would have to leave money in my laptop for me to take stuff from him. I've never asked my kids for nothing. When they worked and they was in the house, don't give me nothing. I've never asked my kids for nothing. Let me tell you, when I was going through my hardship, and there was parents that was saying, my kid's supposed to take care of me. You know, my son would tell you, I have my own money. Use my money for me. You follow me? I don't ask my kids for nothing. Now, what I always told them was, when I get older and I can't do for me, you know how I lived. You knew how I took care of you. Make sure I'm good. Make sure I'm good. Make sure I can still live the way I've lived. That's what I've always told them, right? So, no. And I'm other old school. Females, as long as y'all got a cootie cat, you better get out there and get it for yourself. I ain't saying be no hoe. That ain't what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is you don't depend on other folks when you can get out there and get it for yourself. That's what I'm saying. That's old school. I believe in it. So that's that on that. So basically what I did yesterday was I said what I had to say. I was not going in there telling them folks to leave that room. And y'all leave my people alone. Y'all leave them people alone. Let them grieve. You ain't in their shoe. You don't know what they've been through. You leave them folks alone. So, yeah, they end up staying. The guy came out, the brother, and said, you know, they found a place where they wanted to take her. Hearts of San Antonio Cremation. And asked them to come pick her up at 5 o'clock. That gave them time for all the family members to come up there. And our chaplain, she's so sweet. She's so sweet. She got them this blanket, and she was so sweet and loving and kind. And oh my gosh, she was perfect for the occasion. She was perfect, you know. But my heart hurt, my chest hurt, my head hurt, because my job every day that I'm on the floor is to take care of other people loved ones. But I can't take care of my own. I can't take care of my own. Man, Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus. Y'all, sometimes life can be complicated. It can. You know, sometimes life happens. And and sometimes we don't know what to do. We get in situations, whether we put ourselves in those situations or not. I'm of the belief that as adults, 99% of the situations we go through, we cause them. I'm of that old. That's my mindset. Okay. But I also believe what the Word of God said. The Word of God said there was no temptation common unto man, that He didn't make a way of escape. So we had outlets. We didn't take them. So, but regardless of that, life, as young folks say, social media say, life be life, and y'all. And sometimes we don't know how to deal with it. I've been there. And it ain't nothing but the grace of God. It ain't nothing but the grace of God when you come out of it. Or if you're able to not fall short. It ain't nothing but the grace of God. It's not you. It's not your smarts. It's not your connections. It's not your network. It's not your money. It's not you. It's not you. It's nothing but the grace of God. It's nothing but his grace and mercy that's carried you. And we gotta stop thinking that we owe so focused, we owe so structured, we owe so good. My grandma Ficklin say you're only one decision away. You're only one decision away from your life being altered. So listen to me when I tell you. Count your blessings. Count your blessings daily that you're not like the next person. But don't get cocky and high mighty, that you're not going through or that you haven't been through yet. As the old folks would say, just keep on living. Yeah. Y'all, I was so behind on meds yesterday, on wound care. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I was supposed to stay in the room. I didn't. And I ain't with the clique. So I don't get the support on the floor that, everybody else gets. So nobody went and took care of my other patients. Nobody came and said, saying, I'll pass your meds for this patient, or I'll do this for that patient. Nobody. I still left work at 7:02. I still got all my charting done, and I had a new admittance, and I got my wound care done. I'm good. I'm gonna take care of my patients like they my patients, like they my loved ones, right? I'm gonna do the best I can with what I can do. With my resources and my knowledge, I'm gonna do the best I can. And I get up and I pray in the morning. I really do. I pray and I ask the Lord to bless my hands, and I pray and ask the Lord to help me with my tongue, with the words, that I may not offend none of my patients, and that I can love on my patients. I do. I say that every time before I go to this hospital, as I'm riding my bike, or as I'm taking my bath, or, man, I lost my first patient yesterday. And she asked that doctor, we was giving her 10 milligrams or more of methadone. On the outside, she said she was taking 60 milligrams. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. I'm going to tell you something, what I learned in the textbook, and I stick to it on the floor. If a patient say they in pain, they in pain. You can't tell them what their pain is. Pain is what the patient say their pain is, right? And if this lady said she was taking 60 milligrams on the outside, at least we could have gave her 30. 10 wasn't enough. These folks can't go cold turkey off of opioids. She was a heroin user. We can't make them go cold turkey. They can't go cold turkey. Man, like, some of us just wicked, Me, myself, I beat myself up yesterday, even this morning while I'm doing this video. I was wrong too. The lady was trying to tell me she was kicking it. She was withdrawing. Maybe I should have known that she needed more than 10 milligrams of methadone. As her nurse, I'm supposed to advocate for her, right? Maybe I should have known, like, but sometimes you're going so fast, you're just trying to get your meds passed so you can sit down and chart, so you can do this. Or, I don't know. Nursing is hard. For the $15 they pay you, nursing is hard. For the responsibility of these loved ones, somebody's mom, somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, nursing is hard. And you're surely not compensated for the responsibility. Nursing is hard. I want out. I like when things are going well. I'm even okay calling the rapids, but not the patient dying. Nursing is hard, and I am not emotionally stable enough to deal with it. I can't rock with the ups and downs like that. That's just too much. It's too much. It's too much. Yeah. Happy Friday.